wanted to do a quick video on how different watch diameters that are fairly close to each other wear on the wrist. I have a 6.7 inch 17 centimeter wrist, and I'll quickly go through what these four models actually look like on the wrist of my size. So the largest being this No Time to Die. So this is a 42 millimeter diameter watch, around 13 millimeter thickness. So this is probably one of the thinnest modern Seamasters they make. I wear this on the NATO strap, mainly because the mesh bracelet, which I have, doesn't fit me that well. I'm in between two sizes. So it's either floppy, a little bit too tight. I wear it on a few different straps, but this NATO, I think, works really well on this watch. So 42 millimeters, what does this look like? So you could see that, the ends of the case, the lugs are towards the end of my wrist here. I have a fairly flat wrist, but you could see there's not much room left. To me, this is probably the largest I'd go. I've recently been kind of moving towards smaller watches. I used to have a lot more bigger watches, but I've been going a little bit smaller. I think I used to have a Rolex Explorer 36 millimeter, and that's something I'd like to get into. From 36 to probably like 39 would be perfect sizing, I think, for my wrist. But I just wanted to share what these look like if anyone is interested. So I'll move down in sizing from here. So the No Time to Die being a true 42 millimeter. Now we have a Speedmaster BroadArrow. So this one is actually also, on paper, 42 millimeters. The case is pretty much the same as the 1861, so the prior iteration of the current modern version. Now, even though this is listed as 42 millimeters, if you measure bezel, it's more like a 40. The 2 extra millimeters come from this asymmetrical case, the crown guard. So actually this wears closer to a 40. And then with this bracelet, that's actually a Forstner bracelet, it has these kind of female end links that make it wear a little bit smaller lug to lug on the wrist. So what does this look like? So here it is on my wrist. You could see it's still pretty much really close in terms of lug to lug of the No Time to Die, but I think it still wears really well. You could still see some of the bracelet on top of the wrist, which is, I think, what makes it, in my mind, look good. If you don't see any of the bracelet, I think that looks a little bit too large. So this is what this one looks like. And then moving down in size. So what's interesting about the next two watches is technically this Planet Ocean is supposed to be bigger than this Tudor GMT, right? So the Planet Ocean is listed as 39.5, the Tudor GMT 39 millimeters, right? So you'd think, oh, the Tudor GMT is smaller, but actually if you see them side by side, it looks bigger. And one of the interesting things is the case of the Planet Ocean is actually bigger even than what the measurements say. So if you measure the case from here to this end here, it actually measures 40. The bezel measures 39.5, whereas the Tudor is 39. Now, the dial on the Tudor, what you could see of the dial is larger. And I think that's due to the fact that the bezel here is thinner. The bezel on the Planet Ocean is thicker. So I think that's where you're getting this kind of visual differentiation that, hey, this Planet Ocean actually looks quite a bit smaller than this Tudor. When I first picked up this Planet Ocean, I was thinking that maybe this is a little bit too small. It took a little bit for me to get used to the smaller size. But after wearing it, I think 3 weeks, pretty much nonstop now, it works really well. So I had the original Planet Ocean, both black and orange. I had the second generation, which was really thick. And I will say that out of all of them, this wears the best. It's the most comfortable. It's thinnest on the wrist. So you know, this case back sinks into the wrist. It's 14 millimeters, but it actually wears, I would say, closer to a 13. It has this 19 millimeter bracelet, and overall, you know, I've slept in this watch and it's a little bit heavier, but not as heavy as the other Planet Oceans, and I think it just wears so well. So if you have a smaller wrist, something like 6.5 to 6.75, this is a great option. And it just sparkles in daylight, looks a lot better than what I'm able to show right now here. But, you know, sits dial wise fairly centered on the wrist, and that flat part really sinks in. Now you could also see a couple of links on either side, and I think this overall looks really good on a wrist of my size. And then finally, the Tudor Blackbackbay GMT. This is probably what I would consider the best size for my wrist. So this is 39. I have another video on this already, but as you can see, same again, you know, watch centered, the dial centered. The lugs don't reach the ends of the wrist, and you could see, you know, 2 or 3 links on either side, and I think that's the look that I really like. So once again, these are the 4 watches, very close to size, but different sizes. So, you know, 39 millimeters, 39.5, 42, but I would say almost like a 40, and then this true 42. So yeah, that's what they look like on wrist. Thank you.